Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Summerlin, and this video is all about how to do research for your capstone research paper. The next video will be about the annotated bib, but of course you've got to start with research first. Okay, and I'll get out of the way. All right. Um, so the thing that I get a lot of questions about is that a student has a topic, but they don't know quite where to go from there. So I'm going to show you how to break down a topic into something that's researchable. Now I'm going to pick on this topic because I've gotten it a lot, but this one is one I've heard a lot. Neonatal nursing. And I'll get this and be like, okay, so why neonatal nursing? Oh, 'cause I like babies. Oh, good. There's more to it than that. So you need to make sure that you are fully researching your topic. But you can't research how to be a neonatal nurse. That is not a capstone research paper. You have to find something within that topic that is arguable, that is a hot button issue, something that you can really discuss with some passion. And that's where some students stall out. So I'm going to give you my tips. So what I would do is I would think about these three things. So the first thing is thinking about ignorance in that field. So what is something in that field that people are just completely and totally ignorant about, something that they get wrong all the time? The next one is best practices. What is something going on in that field that should be discussed and held up and praised? Something that they're doing right, that they're doing well, that is effective. And the last thing is worst practices. What's going on in that field that needs to be fixed, that needs to be brought to the light, so to speak? Something that needs to be discussed, and how can we fix that kind of thing? So using your neonatal examples, I'm going to give you some topics here. So if we're thinking about ignorance, a lot of people go into the neonatal nursing field, and a lot of outsiders think that it's just playing with babies all day. You get to deliver babies and you get to play with babies, and babies are so sweet and so cute. Well, yes, but there is also a very dark side to neonatal nursing, because sometimes babies don't make it. And that is an incredibly hard and difficult day in the life of someone. So you can be there and be with a family on their best day, or you'll have to be there with a family on their worst day. And that can take an emotional toll on anyone. So this field is is very significant in what we would call emotional fatigue. And I'm going to get to that point in just a second. Now, best practices. So some of the best things happening in the neonatal nursing field is that they're letting mothers have more autonomy about their birth process. If you don't know what autonomy means, look it up. It starts with an A. But so one of the things that's happening right now is this encouragement for mothers to have skin-to-skin contact with their babies, to learn infant massage. They're really giving mothers more of a say over how their babies are treated in that very beginning stage, and it's producing some very positive results. So those two things are just really big issues within the neonatal nursing field right now. And then the last thing is your worst practices. Shamefully, the maternal death rate in the United States is the worst of any developed country, and it's rising. So we really need to do something about that. And a maternal death rate is the fact that a mom goes in the hospital to have a baby, and the baby is born, and then the mother dies from complications. And that is kind of shameful, um, to be happening in a developed country like the United States. So something is going on, something is happening, and something needs to be done. So that's another really hot button issue in the field of neonatal nursing. But now that you have your ideas, you have your topics, we can go to the research part. Now, I would not research all three of these things. I would pick one of them because your paper is only 5 pages long. And yes, I say only because that is not a long paper. But what I would pick is I would pick the topic that you can get most passionate about. I tell my students that sometimes it's like getting into a fight online, that when you start arguing with somebody online, suddenly you become this like really strong scholar, and you're pulling research and you're finding websites to prove your point so that you can prove that the other person is an idiot. That's sort of what you're doing here. You are getting passionate about something, stepping up on your soapbox and making an argument about something. And you just have to prove that the other side is doing something wrong or is not strong or is not in the right or that things can be better. So get passionate about a topic. So for me, like this last thing down here, I would pick that because that's shameful. That's something I can get passionate about. What are we doing in the field of medicine that is leading mothers to die in childbirth? This is not the 1800s. So we need to, this is something I could talk about very passionately. But so you would pick the thing that you want to focus on. But let me show you how to get started in that research process. So if I go to the internet, one of my favorite things to go to first is Google, because who doesn't love to go to Google? So if I'm thinking about the ignorance topic, playing with babies, it's heartbreak. I mentioned the word emotional fatigue. And when it starts to autocorrect it, you know that you're on to something. So if you Google search emotional fatigue, it's going to give you some things to think about. It's going to give you other words to think about. Burnout syndrome. That's something to keep in your mind. Emotional fatigue. Like psychologically and emotionally drained. Compassion fatigue. These are all search terms that you can put into Galileo. So I'm going to put in compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue. I'm going to open up another window and I'm going to put emotional fatigue. I like searching in multiple windows, but I'm also trying to get through this pretty quickly. And I'm going to look, what was my other one? All right. Oh, burnout syndrome. Burnout syndrome. So it's given me a place to start. And wow, there's like a research starter here. This is really helpful. You can click on that and it will give you some overview of that topic. More importantly, it gives you some research suggestions here, but it will give you an overview of that topic so that at least you know where you're starting, and it's in Galileo, so automatically it is credible. It's not some sketchy Wikipedia article, so be careful about that. Compassion fatigue and burnout in nursing. Well, hot dog. There it is right there. But we want to make our searches better, so we want to click on full text, because there is nothing more annoying than finding the perfect article and going to read it and it not being there. So if you click full text, the entire thing will be there. You want to click scholarly peer-reviewed journals because you only want good articles. And then you want to adjust the dates here, so make it something current. I tell my people 10 years. 10 years is what you want. Now, sometimes there's an article that's older than 10 years that's really important to you, but it's up to you to sort of prove the validity of that article. Convince your teacher that that article still has power. So, compassion is lost, compassion fatigue in the nursing process, burnout, well-being and student counselors, that's not nursing. We can definitely put nursing up here, or we can go to advanced search and put neonatal nursing and see if that gives us anything better. That's going to give us that article back. It looks like that is an entire book. So if we click on it, it's going to give us the full book, but you don't have to print the full book. You can print pages from the book. So down here, it gives you the most relevant pages from this book. So you don't need to print all 100 pages of the book. You can print 10 pages of the book. And it tells you the table of contents, so you can go right to it. It helps you in all sorts of ways. There's the PDF. There's the EPUB. I would go with the PDF. I would always download your sources so you know where they are. You can add them to your Google Drive over here. You can email it to yourself. I would download it and save it somewhere. Now, a lot of people are going to click on this little button here that says Cite. If you click on it, it will give you citation right here. I am going to tell you that this citation is only about 90% correct. It is missing some components off of the end here that keep it from being 100% correct. Just because the computer tells you this is the citation doesn't mean it's always right. The computer is often right. And there's a big difference between often and always. So you as the human needs to be smarter than the computer, and you need to double check that your citations are correct. Do not just take this at face value. So if we go through the rest of this, we have some articles here about emotional fatigue. We have some articles here about burnout syndrome. Oh, secondary education teachers, that's me. Whoops. This is a good example though, because look, this article is originally in Spanish. So here's another little thing to help yourself down here with language. You'll want to click English. Because there are a lot of medical, especially if you're in the medical field, there are a lot of medical journals being published in Turkey and Chinese, in Turkish and Chinese. If you can read those, beautiful, but most of us cannot, so make sure you click English. It will help you in the long run. So the other thing that you can look at is, oh, sorry. The other thing that you can look at is going to Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a great website. It is a lot like Galileo, but it will allow you to look up things. So I've already been here a little bit. So best practices in neonatal nursing. So you can get articles here that are also very helpful. Evidence-based practice in nursing and healthcare guide to best practices, neonatal practitioner model. It has an actual textbook, so that's a good source. It tells you like these are evidence for the best practices in the neonatal nursing, and it gives you all of this, and it can help you cite it. This one is actually more correct than the Galileo one, but it is still not 100% correct. What it needs off the back here is retrieved from. So retrieved from Galileo Scholar, Google Scholar. You need to tell me where you got this article. Is it a book? So then you would put print if you got this out of an actual magazine. But make sure that you are the human, you are smarter than that. Okay, so I have gone through this. I have, I think, answered just about everything I can answer. If you need any guidance on research, just let me know. Bye.